Please.
Thank you. Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm Mara Dolan. I'm running for Governor's Council. I'm sorry I was a little delayed. I didn't get a chance to speak with everyone in this room, but I look forward to speaking to all of you when I get a chance. I had a fundraiser in Brookline, and Representative Tommy Vitola was there and announced his endorsement, which was really great. So I'm running for Governor's Council because I'm a public defender. I've been a public defender for 17 years. I've worked all across Massachusetts in our district courts, in our superior courts, in our juvenile courts, in big towns, in small towns, Worcester, Springfield, Lowell, Lawrence, Ayer, Fitchburg, Leominster, and I really understand what's happening in our court system. Governor's Council is an incredibly important deliberative body that not enough people know about. In Massachusetts, we wisely do not elect our judges, but we do elect the people who approve them. That's the Governor's Council. They also approve our parole board members and who gets a commutation or a pardon. Because I'm in our court system, working every day, I deeply understand the issues that we face there. And I can tell you, we have a lot of wonderful judges who are very knowledgeable about the law, they work well with people, and so when a defendant leaves their courtroom, even if the resolution is not the one that they wanted, they know that they were treated fairly and that there was equal justice under the law. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. There are many, many people who get taken into custody because they've relapsed, for example. We have, every year in Massachusetts, we set a new record for opiate overdoses and deaths. And people talk about how emergency rooms are on the front lines of the opiate crisis. Guess what? Our courts are too. And far too often, people are taken into custody for relapsing, which is not a crime. But if you're on probation or you're on parole, and one of the terms of your probation or parole is to remain drug or alcohol free, and you relapse, which is a very common occurrence in recovery, you can be taken into custody. And it's not an isolated incident. It happens all the time. It's expensive, it doesn't work, and it makes recovery harder. So as your governor's counselor, I'll make sure that all nominees understand the science of addiction and know how to work to support recovery. I'm also extremely concerned about racial disparities in our court system. We passed criminal justice reform in 2018. I remember it well because I was working for the Senate president at the time. I was the communications director. And then when I went back into practicing law, I could see how that law has changed and made our court system, our justice system, much better. But a report just came out last week. Guess what? We've reduced incarceration. We've had a lot of improvements, but they've mostly benefited whites. So because of that, even though overall things have gotten better, our racial disparities have gotten worse. Mass incarceration, racial disparity, is not some abstract thing that happens in a void out there. It happens one defendant at a time, in front of one judge at a time. We have the highest Latino incarceration rate in the country. You know why? It's judges. Oh. Am I out of time?
Yes,
Mara
my
Dolan, vote for me for Governor's Council. I'll do a really good job. You'll be proud of me.
Thanks, Mara. I'm sure there's much more information behind.
I'm Marilyn Devaney. I'm your full-time Governor's Council for 25 years. I am a former teacher who started college, married with children, and got through a master's program. My late husband was a Marine, a firefighter. We did have 4 children. Tragically, my daughter died of cancer 3 months ago. I ran for Governor's Council because my friend appeared 8 times before a judge to enforce a restraining order against her abusive boyfriend. That judge told my friend, you have been wasting my time and you're wasting the court's time. 2 weeks later, my friend was dead. The boyfriend killed her. That's why, that was my purpose in running, to prevent anyone like this judge from being appointed. I made a promise and I kept it, for the people's right to know. And I'll tell you 4 of them. One, most recently, without my knowledge, the counselors on the phone stopped the hearings going out to the public. I worked 2 months, I fought, and I got the ACLU, the Mass PIRG, disability centers to support me. I just got someone, the Herald did a story on me and said winner, winner under my picture. 2, I established the first public website. No one knew about the council. And it tells you the district councilors. And it tells you the boards and the commissions and the judges and the clerk magistrates we appoint, and the time of the governor's council hearings, and it gives you the names of who the governor appointed. 3, after seeing the judicial nominees making political contributions to governor's councilors up to the time they voted for them, and the lieutenant governor and governor, this is 20 years ago, I went to the governor and I said, we need to put this in your executive order. And he did. And you know what? That's in every governor's order, right up to the present Governor Healy, that judicial nominees are prohibited from giving money to governor's councilors, governor, lieutenant governor, upon applying. The other thing is, I believe the greatest power that I have as a governor's counselor is to vote to grant commutations to people who are wrongly convicted or unfairly sentenced. And you know what it's all about, based on racial discrimination in the courts. That's why I go out to the prisons and I meet those inmates and I advocate for commutations, and we're doing them. We're doing them. I met with William. He got life in prison without parole. And you know what? He wasn't even in the room when his friend killed someone. I said, William, when we get you out, I'm gonna take you to an Italian restaurant in Watertown. And I did.
Marilyn,
And I said
your
to,
time
look,
is up.
I didn't talk at your committee. Give me the time now, okay? Please.
This is the time. You asked for the 3. You got it, sweetie. Just give us your last sentence. Vote for me. And I thank you for your years and years.
Among my endorsements, I am so honored to get the endorsement of Congressman Stephen Lynch. I'm sorry I can't tell you more about myself. I hope you ask me questions because I'm ready to answer them, okay? And I love what I do, and I want to spend the next 2 years with this governor getting more commutations. I couldn't get them with Baker.
Thank you.
I'm going to do it.
Thank you. Thank you for all. Massachusetts Democrats have decided that we have to have an additional caucus to elect to a seat that Ben has been in. Correct. And J. Michael, where are you, has been in. But because of redistricting, they are now running against each other, which breaks my heart. But we will have our caucus on March 3rd in the afternoon. Then we will adjourn the caucus. Then we will re-caucus to elect one of you. Okay? That's the way it, did I get it right?
As I understand it, and I've become an expert in this over the past 10 minutes, apparently, is that we will elect delegates to go to a meeting that will then vote for either Ben or Michael. So it's like a mini convention caucus, but it really isn't one. It's a different thing to to elect people to the state committee. So there's going to be the big caucus and a little training wheel on the back for a little caucus, which will be for the state committee. But both important, they'll happen on the same date, March the 3rd.
Okay, I missed that little
Candidate
niche.
for the state.
Thank you for the time, and I will try to limit it to
Oh, yeah.
as much as I can.
Gotta set my 3-minute goal.
And I just want to thank you all for the time. I've been holding the similar seat that Ben does in my former state senate district, which Becca Rausch has represented for the past 8 years. I've held the seat for 8 years too on the state
Town
committee.
of?
From Wayland. And with redistricting, Wayland was moved into Jamie's district, so now I'm here and I would like to be able to continue my service on the state committee. I engaged in the state committee because after 6 years as chair of the Wayland Town Committee, I felt that there were things that I believe our party doesn't do well enough on the issues. We do a great job most of the time in finding and electing strong candidates. We do the nuts and bolts work of canvassing and door knocking and postcard sending. We do all of those things well. But the state committee does not do well, I think, is communicate well to the town and ward committees about what they are doing. And I don't believe we do a good enough job of making sure that the broader electorate really understands the issues that we stand for. We struggle every 4 years over a party platform that we put a lot of time and thought and energy into, and it then largely sits on an electronic shelf somewhere. And people don't really hear much more about it after that. Similarly, in my role on the state committee, I've served on the resolutions committee, on the public policy committee, and on the resolutions committee, it's a tool for folks like you. When you go to the conventions or you come up with an issue that you're concerned about, to get the party to take a position on something. But oftentimes those resolutions pass and nobody hears about it. And so while I've served on the resolutions committee and I've been part of that process, I led the effort to get the state committee to commit to supporting a resolution in favor of audits of the state legislature, the work that the auditor is trying to do. The odds are, we couldn't bring it to the convention floor for a variety of parliamentary reasons. And I know people had frustrations about that experience at the last convention. We did bring it to the state committee resolutions committee and we passed it there. But you probably haven't heard that yet. And it happened back in November. So those are the kinds of things I want to continue to work on if I can be reelected to the state committee. I think Ben's done great service. He's been a reliable, regular attendee and a participant in the subcommittees he's on. And we both share a membership on the public policy committee, for example. And so I'm not here to oppose anybody. I'm simply here to make the case for myself and understand that, you know, you got a favorite son and there's a good reason for that. So that's all I'm going to say. I appreciate the time, and when you do have a caucus, if some people feel like they want to be representing me at the district conference where the actual election takes place, that's great. If not, I'll understand.
Michael.
It's J. Michael Gilbreath. James, it's James, but I don't go by it, so Michael will do just fine. Gilbreath.
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 Thank
And
you.
as my father would remind me to say, the accent's on the last syllable.
Gilbreath.
Yes.
Thank you. Gentlemen, introduce yourself, please. You've got 3 minutes also.
Thank you, Ellen. Good evening, everyone. Once again, my name is Benjamin Blumenthal. I am your current state committee member here in Acton, representing the Middlesex and Worcester District. I'm going to keep my comments very brief because I know the hour is probably getting a little late and we still have quite a bit of work ahead of us this
You got
evening.
3.
Essentially, as Michael said, I serve on the state committee at the will and pleasure of you, the members of this town committee. As Michael mentioned, we both sit on very similar subcommittees, and we sit on other committees such as the Veterans Committee and the committee to elect great Democrats up and down the ballot. I'm turning to you, my friends and my colleagues, to re-elect me to this seat once again, knowing that sometimes the communication between the state party and down here to the district, down here to the town level, may not always be the best thing going on. Should I be re-elected to this position once again this coming year, I will do my best to ensure that better communication takes place between the state party and our illustrious chair and chairs throughout the district. Like I said, I'm going to keep my remarks brief tonight because I know we have a lot of business to get into, and I thank you very much, and I hope to earn your vote once again. Thank you. Real brief things, since Ellen is indulging me.
Insisting.
One of the things that I'm extremely concerned about is our environment. And when it comes to public policy on the environment, our policy says one thing here. What we're doing at a state level is completely different. My hope is to be more involved in that process along with passing single-payer health care. I want to see our state committee endorse single-payer healthcare, Medicare for all, in terms of a policy plank for the platform. This, to me, these two issues are near and dear to my heart because, number one, I have a 12-year-old son. You've all met him. Most of you, I believe, have all met him. And I'm deeply concerned of what we leave him for tomorrow. So that's another reason why I'm in it. Thank you.
You are going to change your life.